Comic Timing is member supported by listeners like you over at patreon.com/comic timing. We thank you very much for your continued support of the show. For as little as $1 a month, you get some behind the scenes access, occasional articles by Chris Naudis. Maybe I'll write something every now and then. We'll see. As well as Raf Suhu and anybody else who wants to contribute. Plus some behind the scenes audio and video, some diary entries. I recorded one, but it's already outdated, so it ain't going to happen. But I'll record another one soon, I swear. And whatever else we can throw your way, patreon.com/comic timing. Thank you very much for that continued donation. If you want to give a one-time donation, that's available at paypal.me/IAM sci-fi. Hey there, folks. My name's Ian Levinstein, and welcome to episode 278 of Comic Timing. Got to get used to it being like light out when I'm recording these things. It's a real change of pace here, but very, very happy to have back on for the first time in way too freaking long. One of my favorite Power Ranger pals, the one and only Martheus Wade. What's going on, Martheus, man?
What's up, man? What's up, man? That's right, dude. I'm bummed, man. I'm bummed. They took my freaking Power Rangers. You just reminded me too, man. They took Power Rangers like off, dude. It's like
I know.
You can't even get like they even changed the Super Sentai now, man. It's like you can't even get that, man. It's just like it's the end of an era, man. I'm telling you, it's just some kind of way. I don't know how it happened, but some kind of way. My son is always talking about this. He's always like, "Oh man, you shouldn't say this," but I'm gonna say it. Say it, man. We ended up in a bad timeline, man. With some type of like energy converters, and we collided with the bad timeline, and we are there. That's what we are in.
We're Troy with the pizzas from Community. Exactly. Like everything's on fire, man. Everything's on fire.
Exactly, man. I don't know, man. How you gonna have a reality without Power Rangers at all? Like
I know. Well, look, we're getting there though, because I mean they've been working on like reboots and shit like that, and I know Nickelodeon, either Nickelodeon or Netflix, I forget who even has the rights anymore. Might even be Disney Plus, but they're working on something Power Rangers related. Super Sentai is like a name change more than anything else, basically to get out of the Saban contract. So that's still gonna happen in Japan. It's just Super Sentai itself is quote unquote retired for now.
Yeah. Like, I'm looking at that. The Space Sheriff Gavon stuff looks cool, and over there, and the Disney. I think Disney Plus is licensing it out from Hasbro because Hasbro bought it from Saban. So, we'll see what happens, man. As long as they just like Power Rangers needs to have its own flavor. Like it shouldn't be. I feel like it should always reflect the culture it came from, right? Like it needs to have that Super Sentai type of feel. If you try to make Power Rangers too Western, I feel like it falls apart. It ends up just being a pale impression of Marvel and DC, just with mechas and Kia. You know what I'm saying? So.
It's a very specific superhero that is, Eastern influence, Eastern design brought over to the West, and like you can't, like you said, you can't superhero Americanize it too much, or else it literally feels like you're just trying to, capitalize on the MCU, and it loses all of its flavor.
Exactly. It's kind of like I look at it like the reason why people like to see the Super Sentai version of Spider-Man make an appearance in a Spider-Man Marvel comic is because he brings that type of Super Sentai flavor into a Marvel comic. It's not like you just see two Peter Parkers just standing next to each other just talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a different culture. Like you gotta be able to keep that same thing up. You know what I mean? You just can't just try and change it just because, man.
Absolutely. And then you get to say Spider-Man.
Man, how can you not want to say Spider-Man? You know what I'm saying? Like Leopoldo. You know what I mean? You can't. You just can't. Big Mecha come down. You cannot take that away. You can't take those things away.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, we had Julian on a couple episodes ago talking about Super Sentai, and he was basically in the same belt. It's like, man, you can never stop the Super Sentai. You could change the name, you can change where you find it, you can change where it's at.
Yeah.
It's always going to exist in one form or another.
Right.
And at the same time, the West is then going to have to find it again in one form or another.
Yeah. You have to adjust. So,
Speaking of adjusting, man, I mean, hey, guess what? I just explained your career because you've gone every single direction with the Toshigawa Universe, man. I mean, you've gotten comics, you've gotten now motion comics, like you're in the YouTube space now, like you're trying to find those youths in one form or another.
Yeah.
Get it going and all that. I know it's been a while since you've been on Comic Timing, so if you want to maybe like level set here and let folks know like your beginnings and where you're at now, like let them know about the history of the Jetta universe, let them know about where you started. Like let's start at the very beginning.
And so for me, I started with the universe that I would be the Toshigawa Universe that I'm working on. Just kind of started with a senior project. So when I was in college, I was going to school for graphic design at the University of Memphis, and my senior project had to be something that I could actually promote, create, and actually start a career on. You know what I mean? So you had to take that from a year for a whole year, 2 semesters. You had to develop it, and at the end, you had to present it to the faculty and staff. So, and they graded you on it on pass or fail. You know what I mean? That's your senior project. It was really tough. And my senior project was a book. It was Jetta Tales of the Toshigawa. And, I promoted it. I made a animation centered around it. I made toys around it, and I made point of purchases as well as, at the time, Wizard magazine ads. So
oh man, you're bringing me back.
Man. Yep. So it was a whole Wizard magazine ad, and like as if they did a story on the stuff. It was really cool. I wish I could find that stuff too. But so after that, I just kind of took the idea and kind of started kind of self-publishing the book. You know what I mean? Really starting out with cardboard and shoelaces, essentially. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then eventually I found a publisher with that book right there.
Yeah.
I found a publisher called Shooting Star in 98, I believe.
Okay.
Was it 98 or 2000? No, it was in 2000. And 4, I can't remember, but it was early, right?
Yeah.
So they came out with that book, which is the first graphic novel. And then after that, Shooting Star went under. They were mostly doing anthologies, and our book was like the first one that wasn't an anthology. So after that, I took it back and have been publishing it in one way or the other ever since. Fast forward to about a few years ago, we decided to kind of reboot the series because we had left it behind for a while. We ended up doing Shinobi Ninja Princess,
right,
with Action Lab, and that was still in the Toshigawa universe, but it was actually like her being younger. It was an idea that I had like years and years and years ago. So it was her being younger and her exploits, more all ages. But then we wanted to be able to reboot the series to kind of be able to bring it up to date, because the old series was like really 90s, you know what I mean? 90s anime, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the kids need to go look at 90s anime so they'll understand what I mean by the difference. So,
oh please, yeah. I mean, even looking at Dragon Ball Z versus Dragon Ball Super, you can see the advancements and the changes in that even. Yeah,
exactly. So it was a lot 90s anime. I was really inspired by black and white comics. I still am. And I really love that. But now the technology had caught up to where it wasn't so expensive to print color anymore. So I was like, man, let's do it in color. And we ended up doing the new book, and we started over with Last Chances and Defiance and Harbinger and now Rain. So yeah, that's pretty much up to, long story short, that is up to speed where we are right now. So
yeah. I mean, you really are kind of following the anime reboot way of it all, because I mean, if you look at Netflix now, like Ranma just freaking rebooted after all these years. Like it's one of those things that like just consistently happens with IPs to keep it fresh, and now here you are basically following suit.
Right, and like one of the things I really believe in is that especially after we did the younger version, is that you don't want to age your story out so much. And I think that like especially when I was younger and I was reading comics, I didn't really think about the next generation. I didn't think about the generation before. I thought about what was cool right now. You know what I'm saying? Right then. And I never thought about real longevity. Real longevity is when you can appeal to generations. You know what I'm saying? Not just your generation. And I was when we did Shinobi Ninja Princess, there was something about being able to meet kids, talk to kids about stories, seeing kids, in bookstores and reading the book and being able to know that those kids are one day going to grow up and they're going to want to figure out what happens to that character a little bit later on. And when they do, they're going to have to refer to the 90s book. And those two didn't fit. So I was like, kind of like, let's grow up with these kids, man, as opposed to like, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to like having them go back in time and then have to refix their brain to a different time and a different way of thinking than what they know. Yeah. Let's grow up with these kids. So let's reboot.
It's an interesting conundrum as well, because like in today's world, like I mean, my wife works in school. She tells me all the time that like kids don't read the way that they used to. Right. Like it's a harder sell for them. However, if you give them properties that basically appeal to them, appeal to the audience that they are looking for, then you will find it. And it's not always going to be just your typical superhero stuff that they're going to go towards, even as a young kid. They're going to look for ninjas, because ninjas are always freaking cool. Like whether you like it or not, like ninjas are always there. There's a reason why Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have been that ubiquitous property that just continues to be there, because they have the word freaking ninja in it, and that's all you're looking for. And you've got that same opportunity here. You've got that ground floor of a property, with that Asian aesthetic that you're going for, but also, something uniquely you that you can very much get into the hands of younger readers if you have the opportunity to do so. So why the hell not?
Yeah. I mean, I just, like I said, and bottom line is just, I want to be able to have fun. I have all these stories that I had in mind and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to be able to get them out. And get people to be able to read. That's the whole thing. It's like getting people to be able to read, quick second, sit down, let's read a book, you know what I'm saying? Let's read a comic, you know what I mean? Or, graphic novel, or something like that. You know what I mean? That's the big thing. That's the thing that I want to be able to do the most, and to have the time. And when you think about it, when you have a kid or adult, you know how life gets. Life is just crazy. But if you get them, if you're able to get them invested, man, that is a huge accomplishment, especially if they're invested in your characters and what happens to them, their life, and they're willing to wait and figure out where the story is going. That's a huge accomplishment, man. And I'm here for it. That's part of I think the comic book experience that it's not unique, but it has a unique type of relationship with the reader that I think that is not capitalized on enough. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. And don't be afraid to hit every single type of medium that you can possibly hit.
Right.
You've got your physical copies, you've got your digital copies, you've got your motion comics, what you're aiming for here as well. Like, get it into the space as much as possible and give people as many ways as possible to
Right.
see and experience your property.
Right. And that's you hit it on the head. Like, I think the biggest gift, one of the biggest gifts, other than just being a cool kid, and one of the biggest gifts that my son gave to me is that I get a chance to see exactly how he relates to media. He relates to manga because he loves manga.
Oh yeah.
He likes comics, but he came into comics a completely different way. He
Sure.
came into comics by reading by playing Marvel Rivals.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, he plays Marvel, right? Like, he liked, I will take this back. He loved the Marvel movies. He loves Marvel movies.
Yeah.
He loves and by that, when they came out with Marvel Rivals, he was like, dang, that's cool. So he started playing Marvel Rivals, and that got him into the comic. So it was completely different than mine. Mine was comic first, cartoon second.
Right.
It was that way. And being able to see him get into things like that, you know what I'm saying? And the way he gets into things like that, man, that's inspiring. Like, so that actually is like one of the things that was like, man, I can do that. Let's go back to the college thing that I did when I did the animation on my own, man. I can do some animation too. Let's see what we can do with that,
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, the way you've described it in the past is kind of true. Like, it started off as, an idea similar to, I mean, you call it a motion comic, but like it is pretty damn close to full-fledged animation. Like it's a little bit more involved than, say, like, those primordial motion comics that we had where like some things barely moved, but it was basically the same comic you were reading before, like it's way more advanced than that.
I underestimated how much I was going to have to redraw stuff. so okay. So I have it. Yeah. It is a lot more involved, especially the fact that we have voice actors as well. So every character has a voice actor, and like I'm even hidden in there as well as a voice actor.
Of course.
Yeah. Yep. So it's like every character has been cast. The cast is awesome. They all came from like video games and anime. Some of them even have worked for like Crunchyroll and for bigger anime productions and things like that. Yep. And they are all like, it's a daunting task. They are all looking at me being like, hey man, what do you want? You know what I mean? I'm just like, y'all sound cool as it is. So
it's like I get to dictate this. Like, okay,
yeah, I know, right? So, but yeah, man, I like yeah, it's a huge undertaking. And it's completely different from the comic, even though I do want the experience to be not one-to-one, but I want the experience to be like if you sit down and you have the comic, you can actually follow along. But there are different beats. You know what I mean? There are different dialogues sometimes. There's more explanation in a scene than it's in the comic and things like that. So yeah, man.
But that's part of the experience more than anything else, like getting some, extra, scenes and different angles and different experiences and stuff like that, because that's what animation brings to the forefront, as opposed to static images that you get to get a little bit more of storytelling in that process. So that makes perfect sense.
And like, I just want, and I want to be able to enhance the book, not take away from it. You know what I mean? So that the big thing that we wanted to do, like I said, is to be able to get people into the comic book or into the graphic novel or into the story. We want you to be able to get into the story, and if that means that your way of getting into the story is waiting for episode 2, 3, and 4, then that's great. You know, if your way of getting into the story is like, oh snap, I read this as a kid and I want to continue this adventure, that's great too. You know what I mean? But if your thing is like, hey, I just love the graphic novel, go for it. You know what I mean? It's all the same experience, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So how'd you go about finding these voice actors, man? Like was it did you have to like sign up with an agency, or was this all like you just contacting people and hoping that they'd be interested?
No, one of my friends, she used to live here in town. And I was helping her. She's the main actress that plays Jetta.
Yeah.
In the her name is Maria Amelia Park. And I was helping her with her. She wanted to do a motion comic, and she had gotten a cast together, and she's already been in the space. She's been in the space for a long time doing voice acting and for video games and anime. She's been in cartoons. She's been doing this for a while. Yeah. So but she took a break, and then she was coming back, and she was like, hey, I want to do this motion comic thing. And I was like, all right, cool. So I was kind of coaching and saying, hey, these are some ways you could be able to do it, and you know, things like that. And this is cool. What about this? You know what I mean? And she was like, man, you got some good ideas. Why don't you just do one for yourself? And I was like, nah, I don't want to, because the reason why I didn't want to, because I was like, man, if I have to do it, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, because I have a tendency to be like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? And then I'll just redraw a whole entire thing, and then Jan's mad at me for like 3 days because, you know, stuff like that. So I was like, nah. And she was like, man, it would be really cool. And I was like, well, I don't want to do all the voices. I can't do a Jetta voice. And she was like, I'll do the Jetta voice. And she was like, I was like, okay, well, cool. That'd be cool. But you know, it's a wide cast, man. We're not going to do that. She was like, let me put out a casting call. So she put out a casting call for it. And man, I didn't even check. The next week she was like, you know, listen to these guys. And I was just like, dang, who are these folks, man? You know, so so we picked our cast from that, from auditions, man. You know what I mean? And some of them are completely new to the game, and then some of them are like veterans, man. And it's just really cool. It's cool that they jumped in, and they're so like willing to kind of be a part of something that is completely new, man, and completely fresh. Like that was my thing. Is just like who's gonna want to take the time to be a part of something that's new with a new director. And a new quote unquote new artist, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, absolutely. But like, I mean, one thing, I mean, I've known you for years, so I know this about you, and the listeners will know this about you now, is like, you know, you're as much of a nerd about this as anybody, like when it comes to animation and stuff like that. So like actually being able to be there on the ground floor and watching your work evolve into an animated project like this, I mean, not only is it a dream come true, but like you must have been like trying to have to like contain your nerding out as much as anybody, just even as a director, you know?
Yeah, man. I will say like because I didn't work completely by myself on it. Like for episode 1, we're currently in production for episode 2.
Yeah.
Episode 1, I had 2 interns that I had. One of them I had taught when he was like really, really little, and he went to France for animation. So he came back to me and was like, hey, can I intern? I was like, yeah, sure. And he had another friend who wanted to intern as well. So I had 2 interns helping me do like scene breakdowns. And I also had a company out in India who I have a friend that work. He started his own company in India called Incredimate Studios.
Okay.
And between us four, essentially us, the four entities, we actually were able to do some really incredible animations and things like that. So being able to kind of, as I started to see those things come together and see animation come in, and I would see like an animatic come in from Lori, who was one of the interns, and then I would either take it or Incredimate would take it, and we would completely animate it and send it back to her and look at it and stuff. As I'm looking at that, yeah, man, I'm freaking out. And then, I'm trying to be able to be professional and stuff when I'm talking to the voice actors and, and all that kind of stuff. But in the background, I'm like, dang, man, this is going to look really cool, man. I can't wait to just see this put together. Like as a fan, man, I'm just like, man, this is kind of cool to be able to just see this be put together and see how it comes together. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No, I mean that's like 20 years of podcasting has taught me, like, there's nerding out at people that you get a chance to talk to, and then there's having to remain professional and actually sound like you're a coherent human being. You gotta have like both levels to it,
Exactly.
and balance it accordingly. Otherwise, you sound like that. Excuse me, but in issue 3, he had a red hat and he was supposed to have a green hat. You got to avoid that shit as much as possible.
Man, dude, I'm I try to do that. Like one of my voice actors, he told me not to talk too much about it, but one of my voice actors is related to a famous rapper, right?
Okay.
And he didn't tell me, right? He didn't tell me until after production of the first episode was over.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, man, I saw blah, blah, blah at Thanksgiving dinner. And then we were talking. It was just all of us, talking after we had first watched the first episode. And I'm just like, I stopped for a second and I looked at Janet, and Janet was like looking at me. She was like, he just say what he said? Hold up. What'd you say? What'd you say? You did what?
Yep.
Who was there at Thanksgiving? And I'm trying,
but that was oh my God.
Trying to be like, oh my gosh, man, what? So stuff like that, man. Yeah, I feel it. I
was at an Oscar party a couple days ago, and we were hanging out with like a friend of ours, and she just like randomly drops like, oh yeah, there's a movie coming out soon, and I my friend directed it, so if you want to go, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're friends with a Hollywood director? Like, okay, sure. Like,
I ain't gonna go, man. I'm not gonna go.
When stuff like that just straight up gets dropped, and you're like, wait a minute, we're sharing drinks in Manhattan, watching the Academy Awards on a TV, and you drop news like this on me. It's like, all right, fine, whatever,
So what you're telling me is we could probably be there instead of being here.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh my God, yeah. But that's the thrill of it, man. Like getting to watch your thing develop and be there on the ground floor and really just like get to experience it from jump, from beginning to end, and just see how it turns out. Like there's gotta be like no better feeling in the world to actually watch something be completed, and out there for people to enjoy,
Fun. It's really fun. It's fun. You know what I mean? Like I said, it takes you away from, like we were talking about before, it takes you away, it takes you back to that creative space. And especially when everybody is vibing together and you have a really, really great cohesive creative team. Man, it takes you back to that creative space that is, it's calming in a turbulent society, man. It's you know what I'm saying? It makes you very aware that there's something more than just having to compete and sell and deal and stuff like that. You know what I mean? There's more to it,
Definitely. Tell the listeners a little bit about the story of the motion comic, just so they have a basic idea of what it's about and what they can anticipate for future episodes.
Okay, so the story of the Toshigawa universe in and of itself is about well, this character, her name is Shiandria Toshigawa.
Mm-hmm.
And she is a ninja from the Toshigawa Ninja clan. And the motion comic picks up when she has moved from Japan to America. So she's been there for 3 years, and she is in hiding, but more so, she's there to train. She's there to train so that she can one day hone her abilities to go back to Japan to defeat her father. Her father is he's taken over Japan. He's the big guy in this picture back here in this poster. He's the guy in the background back there.
Yeah.
But the problem is that he also has like godlike abilities and things like that. So she has to learn how to hone her abilities and her skill to go back and stop his power spread. So he's spreading his tentacles outside of just Japan and extending to the world.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode picks up essentially with you learning who she is, what her dreams are, what her job is supposed to be, but you also finding out that she really don't want to do that. She wants to do her own thing. She wants to live a normal life, you know.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got to balance the fact that your father's evil, and you got to get him out of the picture,
Sometimes when your father's evil, you got more responsibilities than going to eat pocky and donuts at the local coffee shop.
Absolutely,
likes to do. So
what I love about Jetta in general is that, like, I mean, I can see your influences there. Like, I mean, I can see, like, there's some Street Fighter in there. There's some there's some obviously some Super Sentai in there. There's plenty of other anime elements, but it does have its own unique personality and feel. Taking from your favorites and your influences and merging it all into one cohesive universe. It's a pretty rich universe too. That obviously, I mean, because you've had years and years to build it. Now, even with the reboot, you've got tons of stuff that you can delve into and dive into and take bits and pieces of and put together as a story. So
yeah, I appreciate it, man. I've there's a lot of stuff that I really feel like all the stuff that's in it now are things that I wanted to be able to put in it from the beginning, but I was just never able to because of time, because of money, because of money. And
you just described half a life, man.
Right. And because I really creatively, I don't think that I was able to tell that story. Like, you have to I feel like that now. The seeds were there of what I wanted to say. But now that I'm older, I have a perspective on telling that story a little bit more nuanced, not so ham-fisted, sometimes, what I'm saying. I learned, being in the space, I learned that, especially like now, I don't want to say now, but like sexy doesn't mean that you have to reveal everything.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? It strong doesn't mean that you have to be able to, bench press, a car. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
So you take those like type of nuances, and then you in those gray areas of life, and you're able to you can write a story that you can only have written with experience and time. You know what I mean? So like that's one of the things that I really enjoy about revisiting those stories adding those beats back and those elements and then retooling it. You know what I'm saying? And then, surprisingly, being able to, have the opportunity because of like web comics and because of like, episode shorts that we have on our YouTube page and, the availability of being able to put a story out and it doesn't have to be a multi-page epic Dark Knight Returns type of a story. It's just a little contained story about this group of people. I mean, being able to do that now and center things a little bit more on individuals in the actual Toshigawa universe, man, it just broadens the actual world and the scope of what I'm trying to do, man. It's really cool, man. I really love being able to get into my own head.
Sure, yeah.
Develop that stuff, man.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the digital, the web comic and the digital comic of it all, because one thing that, we bring up time and time again here when we're talking to creators that have actually gone into that space is that allows your product to essentially be global. Yeah. Because like you're not stuck with, I got this store in Kentucky to put in my comic, or this store in North Carolina, this store in Baltimore, like whatever. You're able to, once you get it on a platform that is available literally anywhere, you can then have literally anybody find your comic. And that's something that I feel like, sure, people are actually taking advantage of that more today, but I feel like it's still a space that's not being explored anywhere near as much as I think it should be.
Nah, I think there's two things. Like we're on right now. We're on two platforms, two main platforms. It's a Drive-Through Comics, which has been around for a long time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Global Comics, which is fairly new. And Global, both of those do wonders for exposure for our book.
Sure.
And it doesn't hurt to be able to get an update and be like in your email and be like, oh man, you sold this amount of comics today. It's not like the percentages on Global. They see more on Global and the percentages are lower than Drive-Through, but it's cool to be able to know that, you had 2,000 readers today,
sure.
what I'm saying? On your book, you know what I'm saying? So it helps out. But I think that also those spaces for a long time for us in the comics medium, right?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like manga, which is the subset, or music, or movies or anything like that in the digital space. I'm talking about specifically comics. I believe that we were stunted for a long time because everybody was afraid of the direct market response. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that, again, we didn't count on was the direct market, being affected as hard as it was when Diamond, left.
Absolutely.
As well as the way kids and young adults inhale, media now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, please,
we that you can't account for that. You know what I'm saying? So if you're fearful of affecting a direct market that was already kind of going under and changing in a vastly how can you say that? Like
undersold
way. Yeah. And then you're scared of that, but at the same time, the new thing that's coming up that you could see that could balance it, you're kind of afraid of as well, because it's a little bit uncontrollable, and you never jump on. You stay on the bandwagon that as opposed to the one that you didn't try to incorporate into your business.
Right
now, you're behind. You know what I mean? And I think that comics are a little behind in that space like that.
They are, and I mean that the perfect example of that is stuff like, I mean, Comixology doesn't exist anymore. Now it's Amazon, Kindle,
Right.
and the few people that were left to Comixology got laid off in the latest Amazon layoffs that happened in the past couple of months. So now it's all Kindle or nothing with that.
Yep.
And I feel like because of that, there's such an opening in the space. And I mean, we've talked about this more on recent episodes of Comic Timing also. Like, there's such an opening in the space for new and interesting ways to get your digital comics out there. You got to have an app that works, number one. So if you don't, sorry. Like, if you're just throwing PDFs out there, like, yeah, PDFs are great and all, but then you first got to hope that somebody has a way to read it.
Exactly.
And that's it. But in this world where everybody is looking at their screens constantly. If you're on YouTube watching this right now, hi. But if you're looking at your screen constantly, then you need to have the opportunity to read it on that screen and have people be interested in what you're throwing out there. So digital's the way to go, man.
Yeah, it is. I don't see a way around it now. I think that comics is coming around. It's just that we're super late on it.
We are, yeah.
But I will say that places like Global Comics, places like Drive Through Comics, they've got a good app system that you're able to look into and read the things on the device that you're at.
Yeah.
I do, there's a whole bunch of webtoon type comic book apps that are out there, that you can read online and stuff like that. So I think it's coming along. It's just that it's not as far as I feel like it should be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what a shock. We were saying for literally years that a monopoly is not a good thing.
No, man, that's the thing. It's just kind of like, man, I was just like, from back, like I will say, it took me a long time just to get into Diamond because my book was black and white.
Sure, of course,
just because it was black and white, and then on top of that, I didn't have like a marquee name attached to it. I didn't know anybody. Stuff like that. When you think about the control that the distributor had to be able to make or break a book, that is insane, man. You know what I'm saying? And like nowadays, like I'm scrolling through TikTok and I'll see like 4 or 5 new books that just pop up on TikTok, just like, hey man, this is my new book and blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? That was unheard of back in the day. It'd be like, that would essentially be like me taking out a commercial on cable television on Nickelodeon and saying, hey, I got a comic book, please read it. And but at the same time, hey, how can we get this book? It's not in the comic book stores because Diamond won't carry it,
Right.
So the only way you can get it is by emailing me. You know what I mean? It's just like, what? Insane, man. It's insanity. But
it is. But like at least now, like, now that we're post Diamond, now that Diamond essentially no longer exists, and there's new opportunities out there through Lunar, through Penguin Random House, through other distributors, where it seems like they are not nearly as you better not do digital because you're going to wind up biting into our bottom line as Diamond was. Because I mean, once upon a time, if they wanted to, they could have created a digital storefront. Right. They could have easily done that. They could have been Comixology before Comixology happened.
Exactly.
But because they were so afraid of the comic stores losing out, which again, I get it. That's how you make your bread and butter. But as we all saw, that can only take you so far. Shockingly, global pandemics where people can no longer go to stores may theoretically stop your distribution model from working.
Just a little bit. Everybody kind of like figured out how much control Diamond really had. You know what I'm saying? I think it was felt immediately. That's the thing, is like when something is felt immediately like that, people start to say, oh wow, we were really in trouble. Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? But but yeah, man, I do believe that. I don't think that they're like adverse like that, because they've like Lunar, Penguin, and Penguin Random House, stuff like that. They've been in the book space for a while, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like kind of like, this is business, man. Business changes with technology. So you need to be able to jump on that technology, not be afraid of it. You know what I'm saying? So you know, you need to be able to figure out a way to be able to incorporate what's going on into your daily grind, man. And I think that that's why they're not as adverse. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even through all this turmoil in the industry and stuff like that, like sales are technically up. Bookstores are actually opening, not closing.
Right.
Like that Barnes and Noble, I for years I was lamenting on the fact that most of the bookstores in my general vicinity, I mean, especially now that I live in the Bronx, like there was not a bookstore in the Bronx up until about 5 years ago where a local bookstore opened up. You just straight up couldn't find it. Like you'd have to go to Target, and that would be how you would buy your books, unfortunately.
Right.
But now there's new Barnes and Noble opening. There were ones that closed in Manhattan that are reopening in similar spaces. I know that there's new ones opening in New York City, and there's ones opening up in other areas as well. Books A Million's doing relatively well right now for the big for the big boxes. But there's also independent bookstores popping up, and they're not just selling books. They're also selling, comics and graphic novels, because that is diversifying, just like how we always talked about with comic shops as well. Like, well, comic shops have got to sell toys and cards in order to stay afloat. Like, bookstores, same thing. They gotta sell more than just books in order to survive. So make it happen,
Yeah, like we launched, me and my friend, through the Heal the Hood Foundation here in Memphis. We launched a series of vending machines that just sold comics. You know what I mean? And it's not like, and they're not in stores. They're in schools, like and they're used as incentives to be able to get kids to do good at school and to read. And there's Shinobi Ninja Princess and Jetta books in there, and those things as well. So you have to be able to, and you have to go where the kids are, where the people are, in order for you to be able to grow and get your stuff out there. And I just think that we, as an industry, we didn't think that. We tried to get too many people to just turn around and do what we wanted it to do by coming into my store right now to get this book. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, it's not how it goes a lot of times.
No, it isn't. But I like the idea of the vending machine, man. That's a great concept.
Yeah, it's cool, man. We were fortunate enough to be able to, man, hold on, man. Alexa, stop. Okay, my fault. Sorry, man.
No. Trust me. That's par for the course. Every now and then, my Google thinks I'm talking to it, and they'll be like, a berry is a type of. No, shut up! Yeah. Like, come on, stop.
I said, I can't even say it. I said a word and it turned on, and I was just what the crap? But I didn't know what it was. But so we got a chance to team up with a councilwoman in the area, and she was really big on getting kids to read. And we, me and my friend Liddell Beeman, he is the head of the Heal the Hood Foundation. They go and they help underprivileged kids to be able to do things like, manage jobs, manage their money, help them to be able to stay out of gangs and trouble and stuff. And one of the things that we got a chance to pitch to them was the vending machine idea. and we were able to give get the vending machines actually completely wrapped and things like that, with our stuff, and sent to the schools, and I think I would say 5 schools in the area, in the surrounding Memphis area, and a couple of laundromats, and free, and the books are free for the kids. So as long as they keep their attendance up, they get good grades, and I think that's it. Attendance and get good grades. They are able to get tokens as gifts from their teachers and the librarian. So, like, say if you go to the library a lot, the library, they'll give you tokens, and then you can use those tokens to buy books, comic.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Like it harkens back to the days of, like the Scholastic Book Fair and stuff like that. Like getting kids to read, having them be hyped about it, and especially to give them an incentive. Like, because like we're in a gaming culture, so if you give people the opportunity to literally game to get yourself free comics by doing well in school, that's a plus, man. That's a really, really cool thing.
It's a cool concept, man. I was really, really cool, and the coins are really cool too, man. They're like these gold coins, and on one side it has the Mall Productions logo from our company, and on the other side it has the Heal the Hood Foundation logo. It's really cool, man. I'm really shocked. Hopefully we could be able to get more out. I'd love to be able to get more of those out,
Absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, hey, as a starting point, man, like that's great to see. And I mean, again, like, I mentioned earlier in the episode, like, we see how hard it can be to get kids to just, stop looking at their damn phones and pick up a book every now and then. And this is the type of incentive that kids need to go out there and read and find something cool for themselves.
Right. It's all about trying to find your lane, man. Your lane to be able to be to learn a little bit more, at least.
I wanted to also touch on how much of a family affair your book is, man. Because like I look at the credits, and Janet's in there, Anakin's doing flats, like
you got
the
whole
work,
book, dude. I'm putting the work, man. Like Anakin is my intern during the summer. So I want to say intern. He's my employee during the summer. Like he works at the zoo, and he works for me. You know what I mean? Those are the two places that he works for the summer, and he gets paid. So he comes, like if we have like a seminar or something, he goes to the seminar, talks to the kids as well. You know what I mean? So it's it's a family affair. My wife, well, Janet, she does most of the coloring for a lot of the books. The only book that she does not do coloring for mostly is the Jetta books, the graphic novels, because I started out like doing like this painterly type of a way to it. And I'm trying to be able to keep it consistent. So I do that. I continue to do that painted way to it. That's the only one that she doesn't. The rest of them, she actually does all the colors for. And then I once I write it, she looks over it, does her changes and stuff like that. And then like Anakin comes in, he comes in, and then he lays down the colors after like I finish my artwork. So he lays down what the colors should be so that they stay consistent when Janet gets them and renders them out. So or when I get them, sometimes I take his and I render them out with more painterly. So he's on both spectrums. He helps me out by flatting, and then he helps her out on the same spectrum by flatting, and then we just take them and do our two different things. So yeah, man, it's us three, man. It's us three, dude. Just trying to be able to do as much creativity as possible, man. I just really believe that like me and Janet met in college in creative writing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that if you took that creativeness out of our family, the family just kind of like floats off and does its own thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Off into like, sections of the universe and kind of never to return again. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I just feel like that creative part of our family is just so important. You know what I mean? And keeping us together, so.
Katie Cook always makes the joke that she had kids so she'd be able to get flatters, like that's and I mean, hey, like that's all part of it, man. It's like if you're old enough to hold a paintbrush, then you're old enough to help out in the family business, and the family business is comics. Yep.
You are old enough, man. I'm telling you, dude. I showed him how to do it. And he is like, look, these are the pages that you are responsible for. Mm-hmm. And I want you to be able to do those pages. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing, man. Even like I will say too, even like on the animation, he Anakin will on the ones that I'm actually doing, because I still do some of the animation myself. Yeah. Anakin will come in and he will do did the flats on some of those frames. So, without that, I don't think I would be able to do as much as I actually do. It's because we're 24/7 doing something creative. You know what I mean?
Friends and family, man. That's what it's all about. Friends and family.
Exactly.
Like that's. I mean, I know from like when I used to help out Comfort and Adam on their books, like without friends and without people willing to to edit the book or proofread and stuff like that, right. Like a lot of these smaller projects would go by the wayside, because that's what you need. You need people willing and able to help out their friends when they need it and make the magic happen. That's really what it's all about.
Exactly. That's why I keep Sean and Julian around.
Yes, that's the exact reason. Yes, 100%, man. And if you're listening to this, remember that, Sean. Remember that, Julian. That's why you're still around. That's it. Oh my God, I love it.
It was Sean. It was actually Sean's idea, though, for real. It was like in the last episode, like Sean was like he watched it and he was like, "Oh man, you probably gotta won't you put some captions before each person is introduced so they'll know who they are." And I was like, damn, that's a good ass in it. Damn, Sean, that's why I keep you around, dog.
Sean Pryor, Baracco Comics himself, man. Like
Baracco Comics, I forgot about that,
dude. there is a reason why that man is still going the way he's going. It's because he's got them ideas and he knows how to use them.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about Baracco Comics, dude.
Hell yeah, man. I remind him of that at every opportunity. He's like, man, stop that. Just like I'll always remind Julian about the Sunday. Like that's
dude, every once in a while, man, we'll be texting and it will come up, man. And man, I'll be like, dude, I didn't mean I didn't mean anything. I was just kind of like, hey, dude, I'm not like, for real. Technically, I was like, I wasn't supposed to have it in the first place. I was like, I don't know, man. So I was like, hey, man, you want this? You want something? No, I want this thing. I was like,
Anybody who has no idea what we're talking about, go back in time. The comic timing episode is still out there. All of us shooting the shit in a hotel room, all about that Sunday that got away. And
but that is kind of true, though. How you gonna be an establishment, man? And you ain't got no more ice cream. Like how you go out of ice cream? I was like, when they said that, it was like, man, you ain't got no ice cream, like none, like no ice cream, it's just gone.
That's it. Briar's 2 for $5. That's it.
Dude, just go down the street. Just go down there and get some. I was like, wow.
They're still in business too. There's that place that Third and Spruce still in business after all these years. Good for them.
I mean, it looked like it was hopping, man. I mean, when we were there, it was like super crowded because people were all over the place and stuff. So I can kind of see why they would be like, man, we out. Yep. But but yeah, man, I wish we could get a chance to just go back and do that again. That was fun, man.
I know that was it was in general, like if there's ever an opportunity when the four of us are in the same state at the same time,
Yeah,
we gotta I'll bring my recorder. We'll make the magic happen, man, because it's been too freaking long that we've all been in the same space at the same time. That
is true, man. Yeah. I got curfews now, man. I can't be up like that no more, man. I'd be done the next day.
No, I hear you. I mean, unfortunately, you know, like with the freelancer life, I'm having to remind myself what an actual like bedtime is.
Right, exactly.
Because I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can stay up. Like, oh hey, MLB The Show 25. I'm in like the year 2045 in my franchise. Like, yeah, no, it's fine, it's great. And then I'm like, oh wait, it's 2? Damn,
dude, man, last night I stayed up way too late, man. I'm telling you, man, I'm paying. I pay for it.
I hear you. You know. Anymore. Yeah, I'm 40. I'm 42 now, and trust me, my body knows it. Like, doesn't matter how many times I tell it otherwise. It's like, nah, you're still you're still youthful. Still got spirit, but remember what sleep is every now and then. Because when you take the melatonin, you wake up the next day and you're groggy as hell, and you don't want to have to do that to shut your brain off. That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes.
Yep.
So, is there a general schedule for when the next episode is going to drop, or is it TBD at this point? Whenever the schedule's all done. Yep.
I knew you were going to ask that.
Oh, I know. You knew it was going to throw out there, man. But also at the same time, I know how long this shit takes to actually happen, especially on an independent budget. So clearly, yeah. So
we are we're in production.
Yeah.
Everybody has until April to get their voiceovers in.
Got it. Okay.
I've gotten a good bit now. I'm still waiting on a few. Mm-hmm. And then after VOs come in mid-April and May, we're really going to be going in and starting to plan animations and stuff. Okay. And then what I would like, in between that, I'm still working on Avior for the Experimental Aircraft Association. Mm-hmm. So that's a book that I'm working on.
Nice.
I'm also working on the next Jetta books as well. And I have some other client work and stuff that I'm working on. So, in between that, I would like to be able to get, the next episode out in September or October. That is what I would like.
Yes. So, that is what you would like, and I completely understand that it is a process.
Right.
And I also understand, as a reminder, I have a voice. So if you need any background players or anything like that, holler at me. But either way. But still, man, I know it's a process.
Yeah. So that is one of the things we do. There are always you said that, but for real, I might give you a yell because
by all means.
The reason why I actually ended up being in episode 1 in the first place is because I forgot to cast somebody. It always happened. I was like, I was like looking through it and just like, we got everybody in here. We got all this stuff. And I was like, hold up, man, we don't have a Kim, man. We didn't have a Kim in the episode. And I was just like, crap, dude. So nope. I asked some folks and they couldn't do it. And I was like, all right. So I actually ended up having to do it, and it sucked. I was like, man, I don't want that so we got a Kim though this episode. We got an awesome dude. His name is Matthew Chung, and he's awesome. And huge Batman fan, loves Nightwing.
Nice.
So but I might give you a yell for that, for real.
Hey, by all means, man. Yeah. I mean, hey, come on. I was in our buddy, Alan New Mutants audio book
that's right.
Years ago. for the when I was in space and we were experiencing the Google wave.
Google wave.
Man, just even thinking of the product, like how out of date the product Google Wave is, but that's what you do when you do sci-fi. You're like yeah, this shit's gonna be around forever. Like, nah, nobody even remembers what the hell Google Wave is at this point.
Right, exactly, man. I forgot all about Google Wave, man.
Oh man, tell us a little bit about Avior, by the way. That's something I meant to bring up anyway. So you're doing some stuff for experimental airlines. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's a museum, experimental aircraft museum. And they I don't want to say it's not all experimental. It's not like everything's experimental. It's really a museum for aviation. Period. And they do tours and all this kind of stuff, but they actually have a character called Avior, and Avior is essentially a superhero, but he is a character that kind of appeals to their Young Eagles like program. The Young Eagles programs is where they, kids come in, they learn about flight, they learn about aviation, and then they actually can, take flying lessons and stuff like that. So the Stan Lee actually created the character. So,
wow.
Yeah, so the character was created by him, and he donated that character to them for the Young Eagles program.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I got brought on with issue. What issue is this that I got brought on? I can't remember. Do I even have it over here? Oh yeah. I got brought on with issue 15. So issue 15 is the Iron Eagle homage that I did. I got brought on with that issue, and I've been on the issue from 15 on ever since. And if you guys know anything about Iron Eagle, then you know that this is the the cover of Iron Eagle. The poster of Iron Eagle. I love Iron Eagle, man. I love Iron Eagle and Top Gun. Those are my two things. So, but yeah, and he fights, Avior fights, different things dealing with aviation, you know what I mean? But he also fights like cryptids as well. Yeah. He has his Scooby-Doo episodes. He has his episodes where he is a fighter pilot. He's fighting against the enemy aircraft. Mm-hmm. He has a Joker-like character that is rides around in a makeshift experimental hovercraft called Blimpy. And in the middle of each issue, there is historical facts. So there's historical facts about the Tuskegee Airmen in there, mm-hmm. historical facts about the first woman to ever be a pilot, but she did all these tricks and stuff in the air, mm-hmm. And stuff like that, and how an engine is actually made and how an engine is actually run and stuff like that. That's awesome. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. I really enjoy that book. It's really fun.
Yeah, and I mean, this museum reminds me a little bit of the one that I visited in Pensacola a couple of years ago. That's mm-hmm. a similar one. It's on one of the Navy bases. Yeah. Like basically just a straight up aviation museum with a whole bunch mm-hmm. of you got the blue God, what are they called? The blue something or other. I'm blanking. Dang. Man, yeah, blue pilots Pensacola. I guarantee you. Blue Angels. Yeah. They had a couple of Blue Angels on display and some NASA shit and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was great stuff. But I love the fact that you get to say you worked on a Stan Lee character.
Yeah, man, that's kind of cool. That was a selling point. For me. You know what I mean? They were like, oh yeah, character was created by Stan Lee, and they had a unveiling of the character with the cosplayer that came out dressed up as a character, and Stan Lee was there and he was signing autographs. I was like, I saw that picture and I was like, dude, yeah, man, sign me up. They were like, how much do you want? No, just sign me up, dude. Sign me up.
That's history right there, man. That is absolutely something that you get to take to the grave. Like, yeah, man, I worked on a Stan Lee character, straight up. You know, history.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I love that book. I like working on, and like the writer, Zeb Haddonfield. Man, he's really built up a really exciting fun world. Like, it's a really fun, anything can happen in the world and it's plausible, you know what I mean? You know, nice. So yeah, it's fun.
Anybody wondering, by the way, the museum itself is in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And they're open Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So any of you Wisconsin people, any of you cheddar heads, should go ahead and head over to Oshkosh and buy some Oshkosh bagash while you're there, and then go ahead over to the museum afterwards and explore and experience. So absolutely, man. Yo, this has been an awesome time just catching up with you, man.
Man.
Let everybody know where they can find your stuff, and remind folks the YouTube and all that stuff.
Man, anywhere on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I don't like being on there. So.
Nobody does.
Blue Sky.
Yeah.
If you type in at Toshigawa Universe, Toshigawa Universe, will pop up. You know, we have a secondary channel that's all about art and our family dynamic of art. That's called Wade's World. And that's on YouTube as well. So if you look up Wade's World and you look up at Toshigawa Universe, then both of those will come up on YouTube, man. I'm easy to find, man. I'm easy to find. You know?
You made it with the name Wade's World, man. Like, that was when you started putting out podcasts under that name, I was like, that's just too easy. That's just too easy.
It was fun, man. I was it was just one of those things where it was like, hey man, what are we gonna call this? And Anakin was small at the time, so it was just like, you know, that was really cool to hear. It's cool to be able to see, because he's still an integral part of the we've moved over from doing podcasts to YouTube. So he's an integral part of the YouTube, but being able to go back on a podcast, listen, because the old podcasts are still up on the Taylorverse, I think. And then you can be able to listen to him, and then he kind of grows up, you know, and you can actually be able to see him. That's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Me, I stay the same. Only thing I do is just get a fatter head and get gray.
I have no idea what you're talking about with the grays, man. Like, I got a haircut a couple days ago, and I'm looking down and I'm like, there's not a lot of black hairs on the floor right now. I'm a bit offended by that. I'd like to correct that. So come on, guy. Like let's roll. Because trust me, I like the Reed Richards temples, but it's getting to be a bit much at this point. Getting to be a bit much.
Man, just for men, man.
Nah. Trust me, if I started doing that at this point, it'd be a bit too obvious. It's like wait a minute. Who are you trying to kid, man? Who are you trying to kid? My dad was completely gray by the time he was like 30, so I've at least beat him out on that, and I'll be all right with that. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That night. And when I listened to my podcast 20 years ago, college kid green under the everything.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, like, wow, my voice has actually changed from a nerdier to a little bit more mature deepness. And I appreciate that.
I'm still
just do you.
Man, I don't think it's gonna ever change, dude. I listen to some of the stuff I did in the past. I'm just like, man, I still sound exactly the same. I don't sound like I'm any smarter.
Trust me, man. Like I love talking to you. It's been way too freaking long. We'll have to have you back when next time there's any sort of like Power Ranger shit going down or whatever.
Oh yeah, man.
I'll put the bat signal up and we'll get the whole crew back together or something like that.
Yeah, let's do that, man. Let's do that.
Absolutely. But Martheus, always a pleasure. Thank you so much, man. And everybody, please go check out Jetta. Go check out Tales of Toshigawa on YouTube. Make it happen. Toshigawa Universe and all that jazz. And
man, please check it out, because if you don't, then I'm gonna be homeless.
Okay. Yeah. So no pressure. No pressure, guys, but still remember that. And a reminder: Patreon.com/ComicTiming. All right. Anyway, you have a Patreon too, don't you?
Yeah. It's oh snap! Patreon.com/Mall Productions.
There you go. Yeah. Right on. All right. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. Just a note, next episode, to continue Old Homes Week a little bit, we're going to be having on Nick Marino, longtime friend of the show, to talk about his Godzilla work, because that happened.
Oh, wow.
Yep. He's working on Sonic X Godzilla, which is going to be coming out in the not too distant future, and he's done some Godzilla rival stuff. So Raph and Brandon are going to talk Godzilla, and I'm basically just going to sit back and relax and let them nerd out. So it's going to be good times. So look forward to that on the very next episode. And with that, some more credits. Email address for Comic Timing is comictiming@gmail.com. Facebook.com/comictiming is where you can find us and the Comic Timing fan group. Please do check that out if you have not already done so. We're on Blue Sky at Comic Timing. We don't talk about Twitter, so I'm not even going to. But youtube.com/@Comic Timing Podcast is where you can find us on YouTube. We're on Instagram as Comic Timing Podcast, and we're on Threads as Comic Timing Podcast as well. Once again, thanks to Martheus for joining us. Thanks for you guys for listening. And as always, there's always time for comics.